What I would love us to pay attention to is the truth, and we'll play around with that second yama, also called a satya, this week. And we will begin our practice today lying down on the backs. So I would ask you not to use a bolster today, although I'm aware that most of you might have one. But just lying yourself down onto the back and wiggling around enough to be comfortable, but also placing the feet down for a constructive resting pose. So the feet at about mat distance, and then the knees dropping in. I would love us just to relax a little bit into the pelvic area. If you need some wiggles here, please feel free to have those. And maybe also just lightly sliding the shoulders under a little, so to broaden the area of the chest and allowing the palms to face open just for a moment. Knees together if that works for you. Spine aligned, so we are in a straight spinal position, and then maybe allowing the hands to gently drop onto the hips, the groins, wherever they feel comfortable. If it's possible, you can close your eyes. I'd love you to connect for a moment just to the sensations under your hands. And maybe allowing this sense of touch to take you a little bit deeper down into your base. Allowing the hip flexors to be completely relaxed and at ease. And we will connect into not just the body and its sensations, but we'll also connect our awareness to the mind. And as I said earlier, we are working with Satya today or this week and the truth. And I would love you to notice what's going on in the head. The truth is paired, as some of you might remember from last week, with ahimsa or non-harming. So while you notice the thoughts that are going on through your own mind, notice if there's anything that is true right now, because often the thoughts when we're resting here are quite random, not related to anything that has occurred quite yet. And also notice if you're thinking, and especially if it's about yourself, is harmless. Hopefully taking these ideas through the practice in awareness of when thoughts come in, to just briefly check in with those, to allow them to move on, but also to be free of harm. Noticing if they're true. And while you're resting here and your hands are still resting on the hip area somewhere, let's breathe right down into our base as the belly is rising. The ribs are expanding, and you take the breath right up to your collarbones. And when breathing out, let the belly come in, ribs relax, upper chest releasing. So establishing full yogic breathing from the belly to the ribs to the collarbones. And if that is comfortable for you, you can also add Ujjayi technique, light constriction in the back of the throat, creating that soft oceanic sound. Please stay with this for a little bit and find the quality of this deep breath as you're inhaling and exhaling. Maybe there's a balance created in the length between those two components of the breath. And if anything is longer, then it would be the out breath, preferably. Really getting into the rhythm of the full yogic breathing, as we will use that in a moment. While you keep the breath now moving from belly to ribs to collarbones, relax the arms, but don't change the breath. Keep breathing still in that same pattern as you let your knees open out. And still continue the pace and the pattern of your breath as you're inhaling, your knees are rolling over towards the right side, keeping the feet quite wide. As you complete one full breath here, and on the following exhalation, using your core strength to bring your knees back into center. And then the inhalation to let the knees move to the left. Resting here in a full breath and waiting for the out breath to then activate the core again and pull the knees back into center. While you keep all of this going, and if you are wearing socks like myself, this is a good time to remove those. Aligning the feet now at about hip distance, walking them up in towards the direction of the buttocks, no pulling, no real alignment for a bridge, and yet the feet are aligned so the toes are facing forward. They're reasonably close towards the buttocks, and you could reshuffle the shoulder blades a little bit under. The arms can remain open if you feel supported enough. Now, while you are taking an in-breath, tilting the pelvis so the spine flattens down onto the ground. And still full yogic breathing. When you're exhaling, arching the back away from the floor. So just by pelvic tilts. On the inhalation, we're flattening the spine. And on the exhalation, we're rolling the pelvis in the other direction to arch away from the floor. We'll just continue that in our own pace. On the inhale, tilting pelvis forwards, back is on the ground. And on the exhale, we're arching away from the floor. Finding your own pattern. Going for one more round. And then once you've completed that round, just dropping into a neutral curve as much as possible while lying down. If your arms are by the sides instead of open, let them open. And then with the next inhalation, let the knees fall with the feet just hip distance apart towards the right again. Allow a full deep in and out breath here. And using again an exhalation to help pull the knees back into center, and an inhalation to let them move back towards the left. Deep full breaths in and out. Waiting afterwards for the exhale to pull the knees back into center. We're staying with the same breath as we have established, But now we will arch away from the floor while we're inhaling. And we will tilt the pelvis forward to flatten down when we're exhaling. You might be able to accentuate the movement a little bit more with the change of breathing pattern. But I would love you to just be observant and how this impacts the movement. We're still just tilting the pelvis forward and backwards with each breath. But now we're pressing down the spine on the exhale, and we're lifting the spine a bit away from the ground on the inhalation. So pelvis still moving forward and back. Do that for just one more round. And once you've completed that round, again, landing your spine in a neutral position and continuing your breathing. While you continue the breath, now lifting your feet off the ground. Lifting the feet up so the knees come to about 90 degrees, flexing the feet, and now bringing feet and knees to touch. You could turn the palms of the hands down if you wanted more stability in your upper body. Ask you to keep feet and knees together while you're now exhaling to bring the knees to the right. Inhaling to center them and exhaling to bring them to the left. Keeping your knees in the 90-degree angle, so you should be able to see your toes when you're looking forward while the legs are in center. And just moving a few more times from side to side as we get a little bit up the spine with our movement. There's more elements of strength now within this movement. Another aim of mine to build a bit of core strength. When you completed your current round, bring the feet down towards the buttocks and give your knees a good squeeze in towards the chest. If it feels good, you could allow a rocking movement from side to side. I'd ask you then to place your feet back down at about hip distance and back to as close to the buttocks as they can naturally step without any assistance of your hands. Now bring your arms down by the sides of the body. Tune back in with the breathing pattern that you've established. And we will tilt now again on the inhalation, but squeezing the buttocks to lift the hips up into a bridge. And then breathing out to roll down. So don't neglect the rolling down at all, just moving vertebra at a time, or as if that was possible. On the inhale, tilting, squeezing the buttocks and lifting the hips up. On the exhalation, rolling the spine down. If you want a little bit more, bring the arms in. On the inhale, lifting the arms up over the head. On the exhale, rolling the spine down and releasing the arms down by the sides. As I'm pretty sure you can do this on your own, finding your pace, using the full yogi or ujjayi breath. Such a lovely opportunity to keep this breath going and have that extra focal point of the sound of the breath as well. When you have completed your next round, allow the arms back by the sides, resting here for a moment. And as you're inhaling, then tilting the pelvis again, squeezing the buttocks and lifting the hips up. Now, we need a little bit of support. If this is too strong for you and you have a block, you could place the block underneath to support you and just make it a hold. Otherwise, lifting the right foot up to the ceiling and placing your right ankle on top of the left thigh, letting your knee fall out to the side and keeping a light flexion in the ankle so to protect the joints. While you're breathing in now, lower the hips just a little bit, but without touching the ground. And when you're breathing out, squeeze the buttocks and push the hips back up. On the inhale, lower gently. On the exhale, pushing the hips up. Do so again. And another 2 rounds if it still feels right. If anything is not right for you, just come back to the normal bridge or roll back down onto the ground. That's all very welcome. Holding up here as you step your right foot back down, squeezing the hips all the way up, and then waiting for the next out breath as we're gently releasing the back down onto the floor. Take one full breath here and just practice awareness of breath, how the body is feeling. Thoughts that come in and noticing their quality. Before we start again, as we inhale, tilt the pelvis, squeeze your buttocks, roll back up into the bridge. You're welcome again to support the bridge if you need to. Otherwise, lifting your left toes up towards the ceiling and then placing the left ankle on top of the right thigh, letting the knee fall out, keeping the ankle joint in flexion to support the joints. And from here, if that's suitable, inhale, lowering the hips down toward the ground, and then squeezing the buttocks as we're pushing back up. Inhaling to lower, and exhaling to squeeze it back up. Go for 3 more here. Building strength in our foundation. Strength within the power center. And once you've completed your rounds, stay up there. Place the foot back down onto the ground, squeeze up even more, and then very slowly rolling back down onto the mat. Bringing your knees back in towards the chest or towards the shoulders, and just allowing yourself to feel which of these variations suits you best. And while we're here, we might as well rock for a moment from side to side. Yours now to choose. If you want to rock up all the way into sitting, you might do a few rocks. Otherwise, you could just roll over to your side instead. So we come up into sitting. And from sitting, we'll place our feet out in front, just about hip distance down again. Bring your fingertips down behind you and lean to the space between the sit bones so that it looks more a setup of Navasana or the boat. You can keep your feet grounded for now as we're reaching the right arm forward, tapping the left hand fingertips loosely behind the back. And then we will change that. Right hand fingertips behind, left hand reaching forward. Keep yourself lightly leaning back if that's possible, and keep alternating the sides. So we're crossing over with the arms, we're holding the legs steady. If you feel, that's quite nice for my back, but where's my core? Then start lifting the heels off the floor and just keeping the toes down on the ground. As we might have managed to weaken our core over the length of our lockdowns here, it might be enough right now. Maybe it isn't. If you still want more, bring the legs together and lift your feet off the floor. Just a few more. Whichever variation you've chosen, once more to each side. And then as you land your feet, touching the soles of the feet together, the knees are opening, and you might either take a hold of your ankles and bring them in, or interlace your fingers across your toes. Whatever you're holding on, just taking a deep breath in, let the knees fall out a little bit more, lengthen through your back, and keeping the back long on the next out breath as you sway just a little bit from side to side, and with that aim of leaning the straight back a little bit forward. Noticing how this feels for you. Let the shoulders gently shrug down a little. Maybe close the eyes, especially if you've reached a point where you think you can't go any further. Taking full deep inhale. And see if you can strengthen the core a little on the exhale, but let go of the legs. One more breath. Inhaling. Long, slow out breath. Core engaged, legs releasing. And then from there, we release all of this as we swing our feet around, coming up onto the hands and the knees. Spreading your fingers out onto the floor, allowing your knees to be at about hip distance. Now, if any of you are feeling very energized this morning, you could tuck the toes under and instead of an all four stance, practice the movement from a downward facing dog. Your choice. We will extend our right leg back, leading with the heel as we breathe in. Pointing the foot and bending the knee while opening it out towards the side. Asking you to draw a circle with your knee in the air. Bringing in a little bit more mobilization through the hips. And now changing the direction of these circles. Then hold the knee open, flex the foot again, and push out through the heel to straighten the leg while the hip is slightly open. Pointing the toes now, and with the out breath now, draw your knee and nose together underneath. Maybe the foot voluntarily comes forward between the hands. Or we help it there, and then lengthen through the spine as you rise up onto your fingertips, taking an inhale. If you want the back knee off the floor, you could do that. And with the out breath, completely collapsing. If the knee's off the ground, bend it. Let the whole upper body sink down. Using the next out breath to curl ourselves up. Be that the torso or the standing position, and take an inhale to lift the arms, open them out, soften into the lunge, whether that's kneeling or standing, doesn't matter. Take another deep in-breath. And with the exhalation, placing your hands back down either side of the front foot. Let's step the foot towards the front of the mat. Half lift for the in-breath. Forward bend for the out breath. Wait for the exhalation, lower belly on and rolling up into standing. Take a shoulder shrug as you roll them back and down and opening the palms of your hands to face forward. Samastiti or Tarasana the Mountain. I will ask you to lift your right knee as you're inhaling. And on the exhalation, use your hands to hug the knee in towards the chest. With the leg this high, you might actually want to open it out to the side. And if you like, you can place the foot to the inner thigh. You're most welcome to touch your big toe to the ground for a tree. If the leg is lower than mine, making sure that you're not resting against the knee itself. Maybe bringing the hands together in front of the chest. Have a gaze straight in front of you. Find solid gaze point. Especially if your tree is shaky today. Notice the thoughts that arise. Or thoughts of accomplishment or outcome. Noticing potential expectations towards yourself. Releasing your foot back down. We will inhale to extend the arms and open them. Open up your arms, your heart, your gaze. And when you're breathing out, bring the hands together, soften your knees and draw the hands all the way through the midline, back down into a standing forward fold. On the inhale, lengthen for a half lift. And on the exhalation, step your feet back into a downward facing dog. If you are practicing from the knees, use your inhale to drop them back down, release your feet. And we will all focus on the grounding through the hands, using pads of fingers, bases of fingers, and bringing the strength into the whole hand. Our practice from here is a repetition from the other side. So it can be done from all fours or down dog. On the inhale, lead with the left heel as you're extending your leg back. Noticing that there might be a necessity for stability on the three limbs. As you bend the knee, the foot can relax. And again, let's start to circle through the hip joint by moving the knee in a circle. Changing the direction. And then when you pause, the knee is still open, flex the foot again. And as you inhale, keep the hip a little open and extend out through the left leg. Then point its toes. And with the out breath, draw your knee up towards your nose. Helping or landing the foot forward between the hands. Rise up onto your fingertips, and again, you might choose what to do with the back leg. If you would like to take it off the ground, tuck the toes under, maintain the length in your spine as you're breathing in. And with the exhale, then nothing is straight. We're collapsing the whole lunge. Waiting for the next out breath to roll up through the spine, whether that's a kneeling lunge or a high standing. Lift the arms as you inhale, open back up. Open the arms, open the heart, finding your space. And with the next exhalation, bringing the hands back down onto the floor, stepping the foot forward, inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, forward bend. Wait again for the elbows to roll up into standing. Take your shoulders back, give them a little shrug. Open the palms of your hands. Finding the ground underneath the feet, hopefully quite obvious there. Where's the breath? Reconnect with it, not just doing, but also aware of it. And then as you're next inhaling, lifting your left knee up. And while you're exhaling, squeezing the knee up towards the chest. While it's up here, open your knee out to the side. You can still place your big toe to the ground, or you could use the hand to place the foot to the inner thigh. Wherever it is, make sure it's not against your knee itself. The foot is high, pressure between leg and foot. And if you feel comfortable with it, the hands come to the heart in Anjali Mudra. Keep a steady gaze, a tall stance. And notice what arises. Everything that's going on for you right now. Be aware, check the quality. Let us step the foot back down towards the mat. Reach the arms up and open. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, soften your knees. Draw the hands back through the midline as we're releasing into a forward bend. On the next breath in, half lift. On the exhale, once more, step into a downward facing dog. With your next inhalation, landing your knees down and either swing your feet over or cross your ankles to come back to sitting. The feet moving out in front, just where they were before. Placing your hands now behind you with either the fingers pointing in direction of your feet. The feet are at hip distance on the mat. Or your fists come down with the thumbs pointing towards the feet. If this is too strong, you can stay seated or stay on 2 feet, whatever works for you. While we're squeezing the buttocks on the next inhale to lift the hips up. Keep your gaze forward towards your knees. Bring the right foot up and onto the left thigh. Let the knee drop out towards the side. Engage in a light flexion of the foot. And as you inhale, lower the hips a little. And then squeeze the buttocks as you're pushing up. Only 2 more. Inhale, lower. Exhale, push it up. 1 more. And then as you next inhale, land your hips down. Keep the ankle on top of the thigh. Walk your hands up a little and lift your chest towards your shin. Keeping the foot in a flexion so there's engagement around the joints in the leg. Maybe close the eyes for a moment. Where do you feel this? Does a slight tilt to the left or the right help you to increase the stretch in an area where you need it? If you find this quite intense, you can slide the left foot out a little bit more. Otherwise, stay for another deep breath in and out. Then lean a little bit back and place the right foot back down onto the floor. You already know what's coming. As you turn your hands back, the thumbs back to face towards your feet. Again, do less or parts of it if required. On the inhale, squeeze your buttocks, lift your hips up, looking forward towards the knees. As you lift your left foot up, place the ankle to the thigh. Let the knee fall open. Got 3 rounds here to go if you like. On the inhale, lower a bit. The exhale, squeeze up. Inhale, lower. Buttocks engaged as you squeeze up. And 1 more round. When you then inhale, lower the hips again. You might find this side feels a little bit different as you step your hands up, lifting your heart towards your shin, flexion in the foot to protect the joints. And once you're lined up, you can close the eyes again and just feel. What is this one like? Do you need to tilt a little, or is it centered the best for you? One more breath. You could then drop a little bit back, place the foot to the ground and touch the soles of the feet together once more. This time slide the feet out in front, so we're building a shape between the legs. Place the hands down in the center of this shape. Walk out your sit bones. Take an inhale for a long spine, same as we did before. But now as we're swaying, you might want to slide your hands underneath the legs. It doesn't matter how far you can get. If your arms get underneath, you could have a double prayer, one with your feet, and the hands are covering this prayer position. Take another breath and let your arms and legs help you to lengthen your spine forward. And then as you're breathing out, lower the head and round your back. As you stay here, please keep using your full breath and notice what you can do with the breath. How deep can you go without using force or creating any type of limited thinking? We'll then make our way out just as we came in, a light rocking from side to side as you bring your hands back up. And we will place our feet back out in front. If you need to wear your socks or your jumpers, that would be appropriate to put back on before you're lying down. We will engage in another practice before we relax. So let us roll down onto our backs. If it's anyhow possible for this practice, have the legs out long, the arms away from the body before you place them down. So away from the body, not too close, and then rolling the palms down while they're still slightly away from you. The head is in the center, and ideally the legs are out long. If that's not possible, you might use a bolster and keep the legs a little bit apart. With your next inhalation, just touching your big toes together. And with the out breath, rolling the feet open. With the inhale, touching your big toes. With the exhale, open. Now there's a sound coming with this. On the out breath, making the sound ah as the feet are rolling outwards. Inhaling, toes touching. Ah. Do that one more time. Ah. And then leave the legs relaxed. Move on to the arms. So with the inhalation, now rolling the arms open, palms facing up, shoulders open. On the out breath, rolling the palms back to touch the ground. Inhaling, open. Exhaling to touch. The sound that comes along here with the exhalation is the sound ooh. Ooh. One more, inhaling, palms up. Ooh. Then leave the palms resting down, body relaxes. Now to the head. As you inhale, turning your head to the right. And as you're exhaling, turning it all the way to the left. Inhaling, head rolls to the right, keeping the head on the floor, no lifting, no adjusting, just rolling on the exhale to the left. The sound that comes here with the exhalation is the humming sound. We'll repeat that a couple of times. Inhaling, head rolls to the right. And then centering the head again when you complete it. I know it will be a lot, but we will bring that all together with one in and out breaths. So while you're inhaling, do it in stages. Begin with the feet, continue with the arms and then the head. And then the same while we make the sounds, the legs starting first. So let's inhale, bringing big toes together, rolling the hands open, head towards the right. Will you inhale again, touch the big toes, open the hands, roll the head to the right, and here we go again. We'll do that another time. Inhaling, open, toes touching, head to the right. And then let the hands open, the head center. If you're comfortable with the legs out long, you can stay right here in Shavasana. If not, just sliding something underneath, maybe covering yourself. But if possible, just relaxing. Let stillness come into the body, acknowledging the resonance of the sound that might still vibrate within. Noticing its benefits. It has many, and I'm sure you will find out which ones they are for you or which ones show up for you. While inviting the stillness back into the body. You can do the meditation as you are, just lying down there on the ground if that's your preferred position. Otherwise, you might choose to come back to sitting. Little movement as is required of your body, but keeping that sense of quiet and calm. If you do choose to engage in a mudra, you might want to touch your index and thumbs together, helping you with concentration. Our meditation is about truth. And it's a very simple mantra. The mantra is Sat Nam. As you think or say out aloud, Sat on the inhale and Nam on the exhale. Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam, Sat. Continue. The mind gets distracted. Return to the mantra. Sat, Nam. If you would like to complete the practice with me, you will pause at the mantra. Otherwise, you can continue on. If you choose to complete the practice and you're lying down, bring a little movement back in, and that allows you then to come into a seated form. As you sit, resting the backs of the hands upon your thighs or knees, the palms now open. Be humble. Consider non-harming, but do speak your truth. As we take our hands together in front of the chest, a light bow of the head, as we extend from truth as our identity to each other. Sat Nam.